Okay, so I'm a professor of medicine and endocrinology and assistant dean for clinical research at Tulane. I'm also the director of this professional development core at for LA CaTS. And joining us today is Daniel Capusta, who's from LSU, who's an associate director of this core as well, and Michelle Wilson, who's a research navigator, and she puts all this, runs this whole, she really runs the program. We show up occasionally. She's the key person. So if you have any further follow-up questions, don't hesitate to reach out to her. And also Casey Lindsay is at Pennington, which is really runs the administrative core of LA CaTS. So we have all three major institute partners represented. LA CaTS, as you know, is a very much broader thing. It's across the state. So anybody at any other institution can apply for a Roadmap Scholar, but there's certain caveats of institutional support that we'll get into. So just to reiterate, tell you a brief overview about the Roadmap Scholars. These are people who are on faculty, and I'll come and discuss that in a moment. You got to be on the faculty of your institution. And the ultimate aim is for you to receive training on how to do research. And at the end of which, the hope is that you will apply for and get either a K award or even an R01. If you get a K, we are very happy. And that's how we are evaluated on you getting a K. So if you don't apply for a K, or you're not eligible for a K, or you're not on the faculty, we are kind of hesitant to take you on, however promising you might be and what you're doing. This is not so much about the research you are doing. It's about you as a candidate and your potential for becoming a researcher. Obviously, we want you to have a good project. So you need to have a mentor. You need to find your own mentor, because there's very little money for you to actually do research. You get 75% protected time, and 75% of your salary is covered. Now, if your salary is $1 million a year, you will not get 750. I can assure you. There's an NIH of a cap, and each of the institutions has a separate limit. It's somewhere in the region of about 120,000 or something like that. So don't expect big bucks on this, but it's enough for most people at junior faculty level to have some support, reasonable support. That time is protected. And during that time, you're expected to do two things. One is to do mentor-supported and mentor-guided research that is preferably clinical and translational, or has clinical and translational potential. So you will get protected time, but your mentor has to support you. Your mentor has to have the funds for running the project. You will only get $10,000 towards your mentor's support for getting additional things, but you're not going to get all your expenses of the research grant covered. This is a sore point that people get the scholarship and then say, well, we can't do the research. Well, you should know it coming in. This is what you're going to get. I don't write the rules. This is across the board from NIH at all CTSAs. So you're going to have to live with it. So find a mentor, discuss this with a mentor, get mentor support. Now, you can have more than one mentor. Most people have probably two, a main mentor and a sub-mentor. And some people have more than one in their area of expertise, even at other institutions out of state. So you can have that. We've had a scholar in the past who had a mentor in Colorado and another in Boston. So I think that is possible. It's obviously desirable that you have it here, because your mentor needs to attend a few meetings. And when there are problems, we need to discuss with the mentor. But it's perfectly possible to do this remotely. So what do you do in that 75% of the time? You do your research, carry on with the mentor in the hope that you will be able to apply for a K award, generate the preliminary data. The second item you have to do is get research training that we will provide. And you get a master's in science of clinical research from Tulane. It's a Tulane degree. You do not need to pay tuition for this degree course, which is actually generally quite expensive. The grant pays for it. So that's another bit of money that's supporting this program. If you're for a Tulane faculty member, you're sort of covered by the Tulane tuition waiver. LSU has an arrangement with Tulane, so LSU pays for that. And if you're from, say you're from Oxnard, you may need to get your institution to support you for that component. Now, people say, I don't want to go to class. I'm already on the faculty. Well, that is the expectation of NIH, and that's what they're giving you this protected time for. So I don't think it is too onerous. You usually have classes a couple of days a week. Very often it's in the evening. On classes that I control, they are always in the evening because I'm also busy in the daytime. But there are some courses like biostats and epi, which are in the School of Public Health, and they don't have many evening classes. They like classes to be in person, but they do allow some remote, and people in Baton Rouge certainly have been doing more remote. And over the pandemic, we expanded the remote. We are trying now to try to do some at least in person. And I think that lends to more interactions with us and also among yourselves, which I think is very important. You need to know what your colleagues are doing, learn from them as well on the procedures of doing, getting around the regulations and obstacles to doing research. Now, each institution sponsors one person. So we have had traditionally 3 roadmap scholars, which is in the regular program. And now we've opened up since last year an additional 1 per year for the underrepresented minorities, which is what this first wave is about. There'll be another RFA for the regular program coming out soon, maybe tomorrow, and we will review them together. Now, I see that many of you are from underrepresented minorities, and I will go through that definition in a moment. You are eligible to apply for the other one as well. You don't need to write a separate application, just indicate that you can do both. But people who are not part of these underrepresented minorities can only apply for that other one. So if you feel you don't meet the criteria, you should go to you should only apply to the other one. Otherwise, it'll be rejected. So let me, first of all, go into the definition of underrepresented minority. And it's not my definition. This is NIH's definition. And you should have at least one of the following: a racial or ethnic group, such as Blacks, African Americans, Hispanic, Latinos, American Indians, Alaska Natives, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders. Or you can be an individual with a disability, physical or mental, that limits major life activities. Or you could be from a background with disadvantaged backgrounds. So it says here, if you were homeless at any time, you're eligible. If you are currently homeless, you are eligible. We hope that Tulane and LSU are not paying you so little that you are homeless, but it's in the definition. So if you are, you could apply. If you were in foster care or currently in foster care, again, you can apply. If you're eligible for federal free and reduced lunch program, you're eligible. If you have had no parents or legal guardians who completed a bachelor's degree, and you need documentation of that, and you could go to find out to the website to find out how to get that. You are eligible for federal Pell Grants. You receive nutritional program for women, infants, and children, or you grew up in certain rural areas that is defined by NIH, certain zip codes. I don't have them handy, but you could go and look at that. And lower socioeconomic status background, and they say people who identify as women. So all those, this definition is available on the NIH website under diversity. So please look at that, and if you are eligible, indicate how you are eligible. Applications are due on the 1st of February. So start preparing now, and if you have questions at any time, contact me or Michelle. We take only 1 per year, so this is competitive. We will receive all the applications and we'll send them out for review. The process, in an attempt to be fair, if you're from LSU, you will be reviewed by Tulane, and if you're from Tulane, you'll be reviewed by LSU. So, and then it comes back to your home institution where we have a further internal review. And usually we will interview the top 1 or 2 candidates, go through various things that they want to do, make sure their mentors are on the same page of what is required, and then proceed from there. So I've got a list of frequently asked questions. Since these are very commonly asked, let me go through them and then we'll take individual questions. So how can I find out about announcements for scholarships and other grant funding? So you can go to the LA CaTS homepage and look at funding and training opportunities. Just one caveat here that you can apply for other grants elsewhere related to your project, but you cannot apply to NIH for the same project because that's double dipping. So when you submit your application, you can say, this is my project. You can't use that for another NIH thing until you're ready to submit your K or R01. And when you get that, you are no longer a roadmap scholar. You finish this program. So you can only get for one project, you can only get one funding stream from NIH. However, you can come up with another pilot project that you want to do and get additional funds from LA CaTS. So if you want to do that, that's fine. Generally, most people are not able to do that because it's distracting from their primary project. How many scholars? 3 regular roadmap scholars, and a 4th is this underrepresented minority scholar. And in addition, other institutions are welcome to have scholars, but they've got to come up with the matching funds that are needed. And unless someone has a specific question, I won't go into that right now. So what are the other eligibility criteria for roadmap scholars? You should be an MD, PhD, DDS, or PharmD, and be on the junior faculty at one of these currently 3 institutions, but any other institution who's willing to support can apply. Now, what happens if you are applying for faculty and you've got an agreement from your institution that you are going to be on the faculty? We want to see a letter from your dean and your chairman, department chairman, confirming that you will be guaranteed a position on the 1st of July and that you have accepted that position. So you can start 1st of July and that's fine. What we don't want is people who say, well, if you give him this grant or give her the grant, we will then take him or her on the faculty. That is not allowed. Your recruitment to the institution is not contingent on getting this grant, because after 2 years, the grant is only for 2 years. You will not have funding. So we can't have that. We want a commitment from the institution to be taking you on, you joining, and then taking it on from there and carrying on the faculty. After the grant finishes, you will be on the regular faculty, and then you will apply for other grants. Next question, can a roadmap scholar be submitted through an institution not part of these institutions? Well, it should be submitted from a partner institution. So, if the partner institution is willing, others are willing to support your Masters of Science in Clinical Research and support your time, protected time, which has to be 75%, we will certainly consider it. Now, I've already addressed that you have to have a faculty position. I've also told you who reviews the application, so we try to be as fair as possible. So when will you be informed of the decision? The decisions are usually announced 2 months following the submission deadline. So this one is February 1. I think the other one will be, Michelle, is it March, or do they also applying in February?
Both application due dates are February 1st.
Okay. So by April 1, we hope to announce who's been successful. There's always sometimes where we're a little early and sometimes where we're a little late, but that's our goal. The award start date is July 1, and we hope that you will actually register for the master's program and do some summer courses. We usually encourage people to start July 1 and take the biostats course in July because it's offered as part of the summer program. It makes doing the rest very much easier. However, there are people who have joined late, and that's okay. You still get funding for 2 years. Now, what about the application? There are page limitations that you have probably seen. Are appendices allowed unless stated in the RFA instructions? Appendices are allowed for documents like reprints, letters, IRB approval, questionnaires, and they don't count towards the page limit. But don't submit an appendix that includes your research plan because it may not be looked at by some reviewers. Are references counted in the page limit? The answer is no. So the page limit is for your research plan and specific aims and so on. Bio sketches are required, NIH-style bio sketches, not just from you, but also each mentor. So please make sure that your mentors give you these and you submit it on the NIH template. So is the Master's in Science of Clinical Research for other people who are not part of these three institutions? The answer is yes, but yeah, the tuition will need to be paid. I told you how LSU and Tulane faculty get theirs, but for the others, it will have to come from support from the institutions. Now, a question that comes up, should the scholarship application be submitted for review or be routed by your research office? And the answer is no. You apply directly to CareerDevel at lacats.org. Once you get it, you can inform your research office and route it that way. Does the scholarship provide indirect costs? And the answer is no. Only direct costs are allowed. And I'm pretty certain that the institutions don't create a problem for that. Another important question is, do mentors need to submit a mentorship agreement form? And the answer is yes. They're making a time commitment, certainly, and that time commitment is important. They can't later say they've been too busy. There's certain financial commitment because, as I said, the money is not enough. And it's usually your mentor's grants that help cover some of these things. A few other questions that we've received in the last couple of years, or maybe I'll stop there and take a few questions from you guys. Michelle, do you want to say anything further? Or Dan, Lindsay, Casey?
I think that for those interested in actually seeing the courses that will be taken, you can go directly to the LA CATS and the Professional Development Core, and there's a link there, or you can actually just simply go to the Tulane, Masters in Clinical Research website, and you'll see the actual list of courses. All right. And there's some flexibility in that. Occasionally, somebody has recently taken another course successfully, and so they can opt out of that, but that is on a case-by-case and course-by-course kind of a situation. Another important thing is, in addition to just simply in your application writing about your research that you plan to do, is very important to consider strongly your career development plan. That's very important. We want to know what you're going to do and where you're going to go with this toward getting that K award, right? Those are just a couple additional points that I think are important.
Michelle, any additional points?
No.
Okay.
We both covered everything beautifully.
Do any of you have questions?
Yes. Hi, hello. I have a question. So, oh, sorry. That's it. Yes. So if I'm understanding, the fellowship is for junior faculty or candidates for appointment for faculty, but also the interest is to transition into a K award. If I understand correctly, a lot of K awards, you need to still be a postdoc to be able to apply. For example, a K99 or a K01. So how does that work?
You can apply as far as I know, you can apply as a faculty member.
At least for a K99, I'm pretty sure you can't, but probably for a K01, you could.
K99 is for starting off as a postdoc, but when we talk about K, we're talking about a K1 or
KO8.
the career development K awards where you would need to be a faculty member.
Okay, so I suppose that you cannot apply to this, you need to be, and
You
then
need to be a faculty member. Absolutely
and then
certain. That's essential. And
Okay.
and it's a faculty member. You could be a postdoc who's been accepted as a faculty member. You got a letter of appointment and you have signed it and agreed to join by July 1. And that
Okay.
needs to be signed by your dean and chairman.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, hi. I have a question. So the award is $10,000. Like that means like a budget for our like research plan has to be in that $10,000,
No,
or it can be more. How is there
The
a budget?
that is something you discuss with your mentor. So your mentor could have big grants and a big project, and you work within that project. And so we are not specifying what your budget for research should be. There are two components. You get this $10,000, you get 75% salary support. And your institution and your chair guarantees that 75% of your time is protected for the research and for the attending the classes.
Okay,
Now,
so
if
75%. And like if I like when we're doing the budget for the research plan, it can go up.
You
as
can put
much as
about, we are not,
receive.
that is between you and your mentor. We will not be looking at that component of the budget. We'll only look at the component you discuss with your mentor. Very often there's some costs that go to the mentor's lab out of that $10,000. There is some additional money for travel.
Mhm.
So just to mention, there's a national meeting called CaTS. It's Association of Clinical and Translational Science. We require that all the roadmap scholars attend that once a year, and you present a poster on your research. It's a very broad meeting of people, of roadmap scholars from around the country. Many NIH project officers come to that meeting. People like myself and Michelle attend. So that's an interesting meeting. It's not in your specialty. There may be some additional the money that is essential, but there will also be some money that may be left over from your travel budget that you can use towards your specialty. If you're in cardiology, you can go to a cardiac meeting. So most of the scholars have gone to 2 meetings. They might fall short on one, but they certainly, the ACTS meeting is covered and essential.
Okay, thank you. And the guidelines, we should follow like all like this sample that we have on the CaTS or the NIH, because I think y'all have a research proposal application example. Should we follow this one that is in y'all's website?
Follow what's on the website. Yes, it's very similar to an NIH one, but follow that. I think what is different from a standard NIH application is your career development. A lot of this selection process is about you. You could have the best project and you're really not interested in career development or not suitable for that, then it's going to be looked at unfavorably. We don't want senior people. If you're not writing an R01 right now. So that component might look very good if you think you're writing an R01. But then where's the career development coming in? And that's what this is about.
Okay, thank you. I have actually one more question.
Go ahead, ask as many as you want. That's why we're here.
So for the classes, like do we have to be in person?
It's
Like
mixed.
because I live in Shreveport, for example. So
you can do most of it remotely. Now the School of Public Health has a requirement for in person. They will say that, but they've given exemption to people like you before. So there it is possible. There's only one. There's a biostats lab course. It's a very short thing. I think it's 2 weeks, isn't it, Michelle? It's 2 weeks where you are actually on the computers, hands-on with the biostats instructor and your other colleagues in person. And you may want to make some arrangements to come down to New Orleans for that. But we
Alright.
would love to have some. We've never had anyone from Shreveport before. We'd love to have you there. You could. I don't. I'm not going to say this publicly, but you could claim to be. Shreveport is underrepresented.
Yes, it is. I actually
That's
went
only a
through.
joke, okay? Don't quote me on that.
And I am public health, so I'll be glad to be doing this in the public health, like the School of Public Health. I think that's amazing. If I get it. Thank you so much.
Now, bear in
Appreciate it.
mind that your Shreveport has not been a partner, financially contributing partner to the LA CaTS. Neither has the Tulane School of Public Health. So you will need to talk with your dean about what contributions you may have made, about your protected time, whether that LSU arrangement for the tuition support and all that is in place. I think it should be, but I'll have to find out about, it's Tulane reciprocates with LSU on a number of things. So I guess LSU Shreveport is on the same level as LSU New Orleans or Baton Rouge. I don't know about the politics there, but I hope that might work.
Okay. Yeah, we can actually who should I talk with?
I actually can, there's some people over here at LSU that I can talk with. And then I can send you an email.
Thank you, Dr. Capusta.
There's also a representative, and I can't remember who it is. Casey, you may know, who attends some of the LA CaTS meetings from Shreveport. They've worked more on CRR than PD Core before.
I'm not sure. I can look at the list and see, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
We've been trying for many years to get Shreveport more involved.
Oh, maybe this is the time. Thank
This
you.
is the time. This is the moment. You might be the savior of Shreveport.
Thank you. Appreciate. All right. I think I don't have more questions. If I have questions, who should I email? Just the
email Michelle, but you could try me as well.
Or even myself, since I'm also, I work together with Dr. Fonseca and Dr. Redmond, and I also represent the LSU. So if you have specific questions about the LSU part of it, right?
That would be great. Yeah, because I think a lot of people here don't know yet what's I called research office for sponsor program, research program, and she didn't know that what's going on. So that's why I'm kind of trying to make sure that
So how did you actually hear about the program? Because it is distributed throughout, emails.
Yeah, I received an email from Shreveport Communications, and she even didn't know. And she's like, it came from us. And I said, no, it came from Shreveport Communications. And my dean, I work at the Allied Health, I'm a faculty here. And she emailed me, said, you should participate on that. And I said, okay, I will check. So
we can talk more about that and get a little better communication with your people too.
Yeah, that would be great, because I'm a faculty, so my research right now is 30% efforts, and I have the service and teaching, and I teach 3 courses per semester. So I don't know how they're gonna do, if they're gonna be dropping 2 of my classes, things like that I have questions related to it.
These are the things that would have to be discussed.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I both LSU and Tulane contribute money to the central pool of money that goes towards covering some of these costs and NIH matches it. And Shreveport has not been a partner. They've talked about being a partner. We would love to make it happen. So talk to your chair, talk to your dean, and whatever help you need, we will provide.
Thank you. Appreciate
You could all look in the chat box. Michelle has put email addresses out there, so you can make a note of our email addresses and contact us. Does anyone else have a question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. How many mentors can we have?
As many as you want, but bear in mind that when we meet, we'll meet certainly on an annual basis and maybe 6 monthly, have a brief meeting. And from time to time, you'll meet with Michelle. We'll be asking about your interaction with your mentor. So what we don't want is a mentor on paper. We want a mentor who's actually meeting with you. I encourage people to develop a kind of mentorship report, like a spreadsheet. You say what day you met, what was discussed, what action items, and then you come up with the next date, what you did, and what that you presented it at the next meeting, and what action items. So you show. Now, as I said, you have a primary mentor. If you did that with one, we are happy, but many people will have more than one, particularly since this is clinical and translational research. So you might have a mentor who's helping you with what you're doing in the lab, and another mentor helping you with the clinical aspects. Also, remember that this can cross institutions. So one of the former roadmap scholars who's worked with Dr. Kapusta and wanted some clinical help, and I'm serving as her mentor, although she's from LSU. So that is all very possible.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
This program is for 2 years, 2 years program. So each year we have to submit the annual report.
We will have a meeting just to make sure that you are meeting your goals. You're meeting with your mentor. You're publishing. You're getting ready for your grant application. Your mentor is expected to attend this meeting with you. We don't want to detail. It's not like an NIH annual report, but we just want to make. And you will meet with Michelle from time to time. You say, if we hear that you're meeting, you're attending the classes. You've done all the exams, you passed all the exams. There's one other thing that I should mention to you. All master's programs at Tulane, you have to get at least a B+ to continue. Otherwise, you're out. I have no control over it. So just barely passing is not good enough. So please take those seriously. It is not our intention to fail. You're all on the faculty, and it's probably tough to take an exam at your stage, but you got to do it. Now, there's one other thing, Deborah, you said you're on the faculty in School of Public Health. If you have done epidemiology before and biostats before, you can get credit for that. You'd have to apply for it, and we can give you credit for things that have already been done.
It can be. I'm from Brazil, so all my education was in Brazil. Do you think that's apply?
It will depend on whether Tulane recognizes your university. So
Oh yeah, I studied abroad at Tulane University with Dr. Carl Kendall. He was my advisor.
So all you can do is ask. And
Okay.
we will submit it to there is a group of people who go through this, and I have no control over it. They'll say okay, or they'll say no, and you just have to accept it. If you have to do the course over again that you're teaching at Shreveport, you'll probably get an A+.
I hope so. I'm kidding, but yes, I teach epidemiology, so that's great. Thank you.
Anyone else have a question? Okay, let me carry on with the other previously asked questions. Would medical schools choose candidates to apply? Junior faculty encouraged, if they are interested in eligible independent from their departments. You can certainly do it, but I think we want to see that your chair is going to protect that 75% commitment. Anybody is welcome to apply, but your application will have all these components, and it'll all be looked at, and you do need to have these letters. Let me look. There's a thing on the number of applicants. Okay, I'm a senior postdoc. I'm wondering if I'd be eligible. Yeah, I think I answered that. You will have to have a letter stating that you will be joining the faculty. You have the offer letter, and you have accepted, and you will start on July 1. Another one asked, you want a letter from the department chair and the dean, and it happens that Dr. So-and-so is both my mentor and the chair of the department. I think that's fine. You they just need to say, I'm the chair and I'm also the mentor. I wanted to follow up, see if 11-point font is required in tables and figures embedded within the proposal, or is it possible to be a 10-point? I think tables and figures could have 10-point. All other text should be in 11-point. Questions about things that we have already covered about the citizenship. I won't repeat that. There's a 3-page limit. Does it include specific aims? The 3-page limit encourages you to include 1-page specific aims and 2 pages for significance, innovation, and research application. So that is your 3 pages. You can list references as long as you want, and it doesn't count. Is preliminary data allowed? The answer is yes. Does it have to fit within the 3 pages? The answer is yes to that as well. Everything should be in the 3 pages. Is there a requirement for a maximum number of years since completion of the PhD for applying for the scholars? We don't have such a requirement, but we want you to prepare you for other training grants. So there are requirements for a K awards. If you have been out more than 10 years or so, you may not be able to apply for a K, but then your goal will have to be to get an R, which makes it more difficult. Okay, I've covered all the previously asked major questions. So let me go back to all of you and see if you have any other questions.
Again, I think it's really important that you discuss with your mentor, the issue about the funding of the research. We don't want this to be any surprise to them. They are going to need to clearly understand that this Roadmap Scholars Program does not provide the major funding for doing all this research, and that has come up in the past, and that's not the way that this should be.
We tell people this every year. We meet with the mentors during the interview. The top 2 or 3 candidates will be interviewed along with their mentors, and we repeat it. And then people start on July 1 and they say, can we have some more money? I can't do it in $10,000. We told you, and everybody agreed at the time. So don't be disappointed later on.
Yeah, that's good to clarify, because I didn't have this idea. But that makes me think about the aims and the research, because this way we can focus in research that can be paid with $10,000,
So you can leverage your being a roadmap scholars to get other small grants. People have got grants from Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, American Diabetes Association, American Heart Association. You go to them and say, this is what I have, and I've got these people think I have a promising career opportunity. I'm doing this towards a K. I need $50,000. Somebody might give it to you.
Yeah. So I have a question. Is that this funding come from NIH?
All CTSAs are not just a grant from NIH. Institutions put in money, and NIH puts in certain amount depending on how much the institutions put in. So which is why you from LSU Shreveport has not put in money, so we can't just write you a blank check and say anybody come in from outside, and then you're taking money away from it's LSU and Tulane's money that is going to LSU Shreveport, and that doesn't go down very well. But if LSU Shreveport were to say they are in a way out on a limb. They are one of the Louisiana institutions that is not a partner. It's time to become a partner. Many other states have everybody involved in this. So it's really up to them.
Okay, because I want to make sure, because the grant that I'm writing a grant for like a RO3, which is a small grant for starting. And I was thinking about it if I apply this grant, there's this research like plan for a RO3 at NIH, I cannot get the same idea to
You
the
cannot use the same
Yeah,
grant
because-
for both. But you can
exactly.
you can modify it, you can write a sort of ancillary or something to enhance this.
Okay.
And I think your RO3 might be very favorably looked at if you were to be a roadmap scholar.
Yeah, that would be great. All right.
Particularly if it is for the actual doing the work, because 75% of your time is already taken and you're going to have to do some teaching, and that's another 25%. So, there's only 100% of time that you have. But if you say, I wanted to buy some reagents or I wanted to pay for certain tests to be done, you could get funding for that.
Okay, that would be perfect. Thank you so much for answering.
And that again is very important to talk with your chairman or go arrange a meeting with Dr. Alan Kay, your head over there. He's very, very open to research, and we can talk about this a little bit later about some alternative, strategies too.
Thank you. Yeah, that would be great because I didn't know the situation of LSUHS. So I'm new here. So I'm 2 years here. So I don't know exactly how things work. So I'm trying to develop my career. Thank you.
Anyone else have questions? If not, thank you very much for attending. We look forward to receiving your applications.
Thank you
And
very
look in
much,
the chat
everybody.
box. You've got our email addresses. Contact us if you have anything.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Michelle, for putting this
Everyone.
together.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Kapusta. Thank you, Dr. Fonseca. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Michelle, what I'm thinking is that, Dr. Fonseca does such a great job at explaining everything. I mean, there was the deadline for the underrepresented minority is going to just be the same. That's correct.
Yes.
It's going to be February 1.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So it just to me seems like waiting till just a couple weeks before then is not really the best concept.
Right.
But Vivian's going to be, I guess, out of town.
Right.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I could plug myself in and try
Totally.
to do as good of a job, but
Yes.
a lot of it is sort of straightforward. I mean,
Yes.
it's not that big of a deal. So maybe that's something. Really, let me get to the end of next week, okay? And my life